that if we look at the whole scenario, then medicine and religion has evolved in last 5,000 years to give us good, long and healthy life. In olden times, there were not much disruption other than the biological forces. But now there are disparity and there are extraneous motoristic or mechanistic reasons to disrupt the life. Hence, this is more relevant in the present time. So the topic is quality of orthopedic care in developing countries, and maybe we may come out, we may propose some strategies to improve it. Well, the objective of all these societies is to advance the science and art of orthopedics and traumatology globally. Why this topic? Is to achieve success, one needs a holistic information about the problem, define the target, well thought of roadmap, know the player, to execute the roadmap, define the timeline, and in between do an appraisal of the direction. Well, if you look at it, practice of medicine, it's an art. It has transformed from an art based on belief in supernatural force to art based on science. This art is learned by observation of talented physician and by practice. This art is now changing from an art learned by teacher-disciple relationship or apprenticeship to documented evidence and then on to the validated evidence. Well, there is always an ratio of art and science in medicine. It was more towards the art. More and more knowledge based on scientific research has for diagnosis, treatment and prevention of disease certainly will reduce guesswork to achieve better to give a better patient care and achieve better outcome. Well, if you look at the world scenario, medicine has evolved in three parts of the world. Modern medicine from Europe, Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine from Southeast Asia. Well, Ayurveda evolved from ongoing body of practical medical experience passed down orally through numerous generations until eventually it was written down as Sushruta Samhita in 1st century BC and Charak Samhita 1st century AD. Ayurveda was far ahead than the Western medicine in surgery. It was based upon a combination of empirical treatment, erroneous religious and philosophical assumptions. While modern medicine like Ayurveda has also evolved from long pre-scientific stage of development, but then they continue to apply proper scientific principle and they started applying all those and they started putting them down in the form of treatise somewhere around 1500 or 1600 or 1700, and old ideas which were simply superstitious with no genuine medical foundation were discarded. Kept the things that worked and discarded that did not work, and that is something that Ayurveda never did. And that's the reason, if you compare Ayurveda versus modern medicine, Ayurveda remains in its original pre-scientific stage while Western medicine has advanced. And that's the reason globally now Western medicine is the current medicine while rest medicines are alternative medicine. Medical science has to evolve because medicine is a biological science and biology is not stationary. You start develop an antibiotic, within no time you develop new organisms which are resistant to that antibiotic. So now you have to work again for those newer organisms. So how science grows? You should have a problem, identify the cause, plan the strategy to solve, do a scientific appraisal of outcome, longitudinal collection of the outcome gives us the evidence, and if this is done then in a longitudinal basis, then that becomes a definitive evidence. And now the evidence should be retrievable beyond the human life, and then so that we keep on increasing the platform on which foundation on which we have to go up, and that's what that is what is an art of publication. Now, if you look at the whole world is divided now: developed nations, high income group, or underdeveloped nations, economically low, middle, and high income countries. Population profile, the whole world is almost about 6,940 million, and out of them almost 2/3 of the world population is low income countries and low middle income countries. And this is the percentage population which is living on less than $1 per day, and you could see how big is the area of the world which is living on less than $1 a day. If you look at the regional, then you will almost find 30 to 40% population living less than $1 a day. Although we are improving upon it, but then this is what is the most Southeast Asia population, and Sub-Sahara Africa still almost 30% or over 40% are the population which are below poverty line. Now, modern medicine practice were guided by the West. Well, this worked well because we, whatever advocated from the West, we followed in principle and practiced successfully. Reason? Because there was not much disease similarity 60 years ago. Now the scenario has changed because there is a high disparity among the Western world or among the high income countries or low middle income countries. Now, high income countries, they have a well developed health services, so they are able to diagnose them early and treat early. Infective and nutritional disease eliminated. Systematic documentation and effective insurance systems, they give a standard care, and that all learning goes into a evidence for the future growth, future development. They have a well-established safety norm, patient evacuation protocol, high doctor-patient ratio, and high bed-patient ratio. While if you look at developing countries, we have many fold household increase in the household and road traffic accident. And as has been told in the previous presentation, number of vehicle versus number of death and number of accident. Those countries which have smaller number of vehicles, they have a even higher number of deaths onto the road. If you look at this, is the same thing which I'm talking about. These are the statistics for low income countries and high income countries. And important is that in these countries, this population which dies onto the road or which becomes disabled onto the road, they are high younger age group, and that leads further reduction in the earning capacity. Now, health services in developing or low income countries, people have to travel 50 to 100 kilometers for basic health care. They provide only elementary services. There is no standard of care, minimum standard of care. No financial resource to reach bigger city hospital, hence treated by osteopaths, non-specialists. And that is why we get all complicated cases. Problem, lack of infrastructure, imbalance of health facilities, orthopedic surgeons concentrated mainly in the cities, poor doctor-patient ratio, and that's the usual standard infrastructure at a primary health center operating theater. So, if you look at the disease profile, we have a fresh fracture, large number of fresh fracture. At the same time, we have a large number of those fracture which has not been treated at all, which has not been given any attention, and the all kind of complications being created, being operated in a suboptimal theater condition by suboptimal implant by suboptimal trained persons. And for cold conditions, we see the natural history of disease. We still get TB spine at this stage, which West may not get. Patient load in LIC countries, health services are urban based, population rural based, lot area of the populations not covered by the health facilities at all. Well, if you look at some of these countries, they have also grown into earning. There is a public sector or a private sector. Public sector has a tremendous intellectual capacity, lack of state-of-art infrastructure, heavy patient load. My general OPD is 800 patients per day. Heavy emergency, 100 fractures per 24 hours. Poor documentation, poor record keeping, poor follow-up, and migratory population. So nothing is added to the pool of the knowledge. Whatever experience is being done on treating such a large number of patients, it does not transpire, does not convert into an evidence for the problem of that geographical area. While if you look at private hospital in some of these countries like India, Pakistan, China, there is a state-of-art technology. They have a limited clinical work and volume and spectrum of disease. They are not generalists but subspecialty experts, and they do best of the quality services, but then on a very small number of patients. So the best services are that where their quantum of workload and workforce is equally matching. For that, we need to know what is the burden of musculoskeletal disease and trauma in total and in a specific geographical area. We are already in trauma epidemic in these countries. If we know this, if one person dies on the street, 20 patients has a severe multiple injuries to be looked after, and 50 has minor injuries to be looked after. And this is the injury pyramid of India, where in 2005, 8.5 lakh people died on the road. It means 42.50 crore people have to be looked after for minor problem, and 17 crore has to be looked after for major orthopedic problems. We do not have data. We are not planning to have data in any of the low-income countries. Do we have all population covered with some hospital? No. The disaster plan? No, we have no disaster plan. If suppose some natural calamity occur, for few days you will find no help has reached to those areas. Now, if you look at the scenario for training in these countries, they are teaching from the book written by the Western author on their needs. Look at the Campbell Operative Orthopedics, latest edition. TB is just mentioned in few pages. PPRP is removed. Even few months training in West, not enough. People go for few months training in, to the West, they work in that environment, when they come back, they are unfit for the working in their own environment. So the best treatment outcome is achieved by minimum surgical intervention, consistently and acceptable by them in their own milieu. That can only give us a best treatment outcome. And that is why I say orthopedic services and training are a crossroad in low-income countries and low-middle income countries. For an evidence-based treatment, we need to generate evidence. Developed nation, they are generating evidence, they can generate for themselves. But look at the underdeveloped country. Who will generate evidence for most of the clinical problem and clinical problem of 2/3 of the world? We hear so much about the Cochrane collaboration, but the basis of Cochrane collaboration is a systematic meta-analysis of the data published in last 100 years or last 50 years from the literature. If there are no study on the problem of certain problem, you won't have any evidence from the Cochrane group after working so hard. So who will conduct study on the problem of LIC, low income countries or middle income countries? It is only we. People living there, they have to conduct research and work on their own problem. How much are we contributing to the literature? I looked at JBJS British 2010. There were 66 articles out of 300 published from Asia Pacific region, 19 countries. Out of them, less than 20, so they have almost less than 20% of the total world contribution in Asia Pacific region, while they have population of 60%. Over 70% population contribute less than 20%. Low income countries, low middle income countries, there was no publication. Upper middle income country, only 4. And high income country was huge. So it means we are not contributing to help ourselves. We have to find out solution to these problems. We have to find out solution to the neglected dislocation, which is 1 year old, how to treat it. We have to find out, and we can get this kind of outcome only when we give these, we do work on ourselves. Well, MRC has done a lot of work on TB spine, but do they have reason to work now? They have no reason to work now because infection is eliminated. Could we prevent the development of this severe deformity? Yes, we can. Should we imagine all patients for a back pain? No, because we don't have resources. So we have to give a clinical predictor that yes, this patient clinically likely to have TB spine and needs to be imaging has to be done further.
We are just a bit running out of time. So.
Okay, I'll just finish it. Okay. So we have, so friend, research is a necessity in our own area because we have to find out solution to our problem. And this research has to be need-based research. Satch foot was there for so many years, but the moment Jaipur foot came, it was caught up by all low-income countries and low-middle income countries quickly. So what should we do? Create a systematic and scientific health database to know burden of disease, provide minimum basic health services, cover the whole population, need to stop overburdened tertiary care, match the patient load and health care, modify our teaching and training after defining curriculum to your own needs, evaluate what the student must know, and research method is a must to develop a scientific temper. Fellowships should be done so as we train the people to work in their own area. We must make sure that access to the literature is provided into low-income countries and low-middle income countries. And that is what these associations should do. They need to coordinate credible need-based research, identify institutions with good infrastructure such as India, China, Pakistan, who can train these persons for their own milieu, to work in their own milieu. And because there is no substitute for good analytic work and publication in a peer-reviewed journal. And then a step forward by doing a multi-country studies for your own problem. Because we have, our strength is a living biology and we have the natural history. And this is all is the roadmap to get an effective outcome to our own problem. Do it for your problem, do it for others. because we can generate evidence for developed nation as well, because living biology is our strength, and we should use it for alleviating pain and suffering of the humanity. Well, objective of this meeting or such effort is to bring about a change in the mindset. Research is nothing but a summation of critical, well-thought conclusion about the outcome of treatment we offer to the patient every day, and well-thought of innovation we undertake, which we were doing since time immemorial. That is why the medicine has evolved. Only change is now that we want to do at a faster pace to help the every patient and ensure that it is retrievable beyond human life by publication. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you so much.